Do you use your phone or your tablet a lot to maybe listen to music, to watch your favourite YouTube channel, hopefully this one, to binge out on box sets that are on Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Disney Plus and all these other streaming services? Or if you don't use your phone or your tablet, maybe you do this on a computer or a laptop. I know I do, and I do a lot, especially at night because I have young children in the house and I can't be blasting out a home cinema system when the children are in bed and they have school the next day. And you know what? I'm fine using my phone as a screen because phones nowadays have absolutely fantastic quality screens, albeit, on the smaller side. I can still really enjoy watching something on this because the screen's really good quality. But what's not good quality about this phone is the audio. And I couldn't watch anything with poor quality audio, especially really high quality production, Netflix content, even YouTube content at times. I will need good audio. And the only way to get good audio really from your phone is via headphones. Recently I reviewed the iFi Audio Zen DAC, which is a USB based headphone amplifier and DAC. But I also reviewed the iFi Audio Zen Blue, a Bluetooth music streamer for your hi-fi system, and both of these are killer products for the £129 or $129 that they cost. But I've also been looking at the iFi Audio Hip Dac, which costs more. It's £149 or dollars. Why do you think it costs more? I think the reason the Hip Dac costs more is because it has batteries, or it's battery powered. And the great thing about it being battery powered, it means it's infinitely more flexible and really usable in lots of different use cases and circumstances. Now, out of the two Zen products, the Hip Dac closest resembles the Zen DAC in terms of functionality because it is a USB inputs based headphone amplifier and DAC, but miniaturized into a very compact form factor that is really slimline, that you can just easily fit into your pocket, that's really unobtrusive and very, easy to fit into everyday life. And just like the Zen products, the Hip Dac is all metal construction. The volume control is metal and it has a nice resistance and it's sensitive, so there is a really fine amount of volume control. And I've got to say, I love the look, I love the feel, and I really love the colour. iFi have built the Hip Dac, I think, with a predominant intended use case for people connecting to their mobile phones or maybe to their tablets. And this makes a lot more sense to me now. I have a mobile phone that doesn't have its own headphone amplifier or headphone output, which means if I want to use headphones or get that better quality sound from my phone, I have to use some kind of external solution. And I suppose the great thing about using an external solution is that if you buy a good quality one, then it's going to give you much better audio quality than any of the headphone amplifiers and DACs that have been built into the majority of mobile phones. The volume control is also the on and off switch, and you will need to turn off the Hip Dac, otherwise it will naturally drain the batteries. There are two different connections for our headphones, or two different outputs. There is a 3.5mm, there is also a 4.4mm balanced Pentacon output, which means that the Hip Dac can power balanced headphones with more power. It has more power output over that balanced connection. There are two important sound tailoring options or important controls that most iFi audio users will be very familiar with. Firstly, XBass, which is an iFi audio proprietary analog circuit which uplifts or lifts or increases the bass, which can be of real benefit to sound quality for certain types of headphones, making them sound more full in presentation, definitely more bassy. And I really like this feature about iFi audio products, and depending on what headphones I was using, maybe if I was using headphones like the Sennheiser or Drop 600 range or 6XX, the second button or control is called Power Match, which will really, I suppose, increase the volume or increase the power output from the Hip Dac to better suit or better match higher impedance or harder to drive headphones. And you can have either and or XBass and Power Match selected or turned on individually, or both on at the same time. There is one other choice for Hip Dac owners to make, and that is what sets of digital filters they have installed on their Hip Dac. And this video could get very technical and very boring very quickly. So instead, you really only have two options to choose from. You have GTO or you have cookies and cream. To change between these, you have to update the firmware on the Hip Dac. So that means this is not something you're going to do regularly, maybe once or twice or maybe 3 times to test out the 2 different options. And you're probably going to pick the one you prefer the sound of and just live with it for the foreseeable. And you know what? It's a really easy process to do. It takes maybe about 2 minutes, and iFi Audio have created a guide video for you, which I'll link up there and obviously put a link down in the video description as well to show you the process of how to do this for both PC and Mac users. For the sound quality and testing aspect of this review, I used my smartphone, which is a Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, and for the majority of this review I used the Beyerdynamic DT1770 Pro headphones, which you can see down there. And I use those headphones because I have them on my head for many hours of every week, creating these videos, recording the sound. So I know those headphones really well, but I also used some other headphones that I have here for testing purposes too. Now these DT1770 Pro are normal headphones, they are not balanced, and I didn't have any headphones here that have the balanced connection of 4.4mm Pentacon, so I was unable to test that for this review. However, I have tested it for other iFi audio products in the past, and I've always noticed significantly better sound quality using the balanced output compared to the normal output. So this is just something I think for users to bear in mind, and definitely something to consider for this review. When I talk about sound quality for this review, I'm referring purely to the sound quality that comes off of the 3.5mm output. So it's what I would call like the normal headphone output. With the DT1770 Pro being higher impedance, being 250 ohm headphones, I used the Hip Dac with both the Power Match on, and for the majority of the time the XBass turned on as well. XBass on definitely for YouTube content, Netflix content, Amazon Prime Video, etc. But for music, nah, I think I preferred the sound with the XBass off. I tried both of the different firmware options or the different digital filter options, so GTO and cookies and cream. And for me, the GTO was my preferred option. I found the sound to be clearer. And taking that into account, I must say the Hip Dac packs a pretty big punch in terms of sound quality for a product at its price point, at its physical size. And it really reminds me of the Zen DAC and the Zen Blue in terms of delivering a sound quality that far exceeds your expectation, again, for a product at the price point, and definitely in this case for the physical size. The Hip Dac with the Power Match on and XBass on with the Beyerdynamic headphones was able to deliver a really full and quite a punchy sounding dynamic as well bass with vocals that have a really nice tonality. There's just a good amount of authority and solidity to the sound with, you know, a good amount of clarity and soundstage or head stage content depending. And the treble, yeah, I found the treble to be, you know, detailed and smooth. And again, overall, it's really quite difficult to fault the sound quality of the Hip Dac, again, for the form factor and for its price point. If I was being ultra critical, maybe the bass could be a little bit tighter. But again, that's being overly harsh and overly critical of a product at this price point. More important, I think, For me, then the individual sound quality of the bass and the mid-range and the treble is, I found the Hip Dac immensely engaging to listen to. It could pull me really into the content that I'm watching, and I could binge out on, Netflix series or whatever, and multiple hours later, I'm suffering zero listening fatigue. And it's great that with the specification, iFi Audio have not pulled any punches or scrimped. We get a very similar specification to we do with the Dac. So that means MQA support, DSD support. The box or the packaging says 12 hours of runtime. I think I've probably got maybe 6 or 8 hours of runtime, bearing in mind I'm really pushing the Hip Dac hard, running it with demanding high impedance headphones, power match on, XBass on. The only real snag I can see with the Hip Dac is the awkwardness of its use. Really connecting two products together, i.e. your phone or your tablet, to the Hip Dac via a cable. And for me, that would make it a deal breaker if I was using it for daily work or a daily commuting situation, because my phone goes in my pocket, out of my pocket, in my pocket, out of my pocket, and I'm using it for all different things, and being tethered to another device just wouldn't work for me in that kind of situation. But for a long haul flight or a long train ride or a long car ride, then absolutely no problem at all. Or just for use at home. As I mentioned at the start of the video, I watch a lot of content via my phone at home. I really can't see anybody being disappointed in their $149 or pound investment in the Hip Dac, because to look at it on the surface, it might look like this really quirky product, but it's a really high performing, very, very lovely thing. So I hope you've enjoyed this review and video. I hope you found it useful and helpful. Obviously hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you'd like to see more videos on hi-fi, headphones, home cinema and more. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.